All your life, you have known things you had no way of knowing. Do not be modest tonight, and do not be careful, because I am not going to be either. You have felt the truth arrive in a room before a single word confirmed it. You have known the phone was going to ring, and who it was, and sometimes, on the worst days, what they were going to say. You have met a person everyone else adored and felt something cold move through you, and said nothing, because you had no evidence, and been proven right, years later, when the evidence finally surfaced for everyone else. You have walked into houses that felt wrong, rooms that felt heavy, places that felt, there is no other word for it, occupied, while the people beside you felt nothing at all and looked at you strangely when you wanted to leave. You have sensed when someone you love was in trouble across whole distances, woken in the night with a name in your chest, felt the pull to call, and called and been right. And every single time, your whole life long, the world has handed you the same two sentences. You're imagining things. You're too sensitive. And because the world said it and kept saying it, from your childhood until this very year, you learned to do the saddest thing a gifted person can do. You learned to doubt the gift. To feel the knowing arrive, accurate as ever, and override it. To sense the wrongness in the room and stay anyway, against your own alarm. To be polite. Tonight I am going to tell you what you have actually been carrying all these years, because my people have a complete understanding of it, and in that understanding you are not imagining anything. You are not too sensitive, and you are not strange. You are something the old ones had a name for and were never surprised by, and treasured when they found. And by the end of tonight you will know what the sensing is, why you have it when the people around you do not, and what you are supposed to do with it in the years you have left. Because hear me, my friend, a gift carried this long, doubted this long, and still working, was not given to you for nothing. To understand what you carry, you have to hear the old teaching about the senses, because the modern world has the count wrong. The modern world says a human being has 5 senses: the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the skin, and everything else. Everything beyond the 5, it calls imagination. My people never counted 5. The old ones taught that the 5 are only the outer senses, the ones that read the surface of the world, and beneath them, older than them, sits the deep sense, the one that reads what the surface covers. The deep sense is the one that reads people. Not their faces are surface, but the truth behind the face. It reads places, the residue in rooms. I have taught you that homes hold what happens in them, and the deep sense is the instrument that reads the holding. It reads the invisible threads between people who love each other, which is how the mother knows across 3 states that the child is in trouble. The thread pulled, and the deep sense felt it pull. And it reads, at times, hear me say it plainly, the nearness of the ones who have gone, because the dead do not touch the 5 senses. The 5 are for the surface, and the dead are not on the surface anymore, but the deep sense was never limited to the surface, and it feels what it feels. Every human being is born with the deep sense. Everyone. Hear this. Watch any room of small children, and you will see it working. The child who cries at the visitor, everyone else trusts. The child who will not go into a certain room, the child who knows things and announces them to embarrassed parents, all of them have it. And then, my friend, the world goes to work. You're imagining things. There's nothing there. Don't be silly. Stop being so sensitive. Year after year, correction after correction, and the child learns what you were taught to learn, that the deep sense is shameful, unreliable, imaginary, and slowly in almost everyone it is buried, paved over by the loud world, until by adulthood the 5 senses are the only ones left in use, and the modern person walks through rooms full of information, reading none of it, and calls their blindness being sensible. That is what happened to the people around you, the ones who feel nothing and look at you strangely. They are not missing the sense, hear me. They buried it decades ago on the world's instructions. The question of tonight is not why they can't. It is why you still can. And the answer to that, my friend, is the part of this teaching you have been waiting your whole life to hear. But first, so you know the deep sense is real and not an old man's poetry, let me tell you what I witnessed my grandmother do with hers once when I was young enough to still be astonished. A trader came through our area one season, a likable man, warm, generous with small gifts, good with children, and everyone took to him, everyone, the whole community, except my grandmother. She was polite to him, she was polite to all, but I watched her watch him, and after his second visit I asked her, "Do you not like him? Everyone likes him." And she was quiet, and then she said, "Grandson, his words are warm and his eyes are doing arithmetic." I did not know what she meant. I looked at the man's eyes at the next visit and saw only friendliness, because I was looking with the outer eyes, and she was reading with the other instrument. And she never said a word against him publicly. Hear that, the old ones did not accuse on a feeling, but she quietly arranged her own affairs and advised her close ones softly to go slow with that one, and some listened and some laughed. And the season after, the man was gone, and with him certain monies and certain goods entrusted to him by the ones who had laughed, and the community stood around in the particular silence of people who have been read a lesson. And someone asked my grandmother, "How did you know?" Everyone trusted him, and she gave the answer I have carried my whole life. She said, "I did not know. I felt." Knowing comes from evidence, and evidence always comes late. Feeling comes first, and first is when it matters. And then she said the part meant for me, standing beside her. The Creator gave everyone the feeling, she said. Most people spend their lives being talked out of it. That man was counting on it. Before I share the next teaching, I need to tell you something. I am not going to be here forever, and most of what I know was never written anywhere. So I sat down and I wrote it, all of it, 20 teachings, 4 parts, in the order they were meant to be received. The ones about the deep sense and the ones who kept it. The ones about reading people, places, and the threads. The ones I have never said on camera. It is called The Native Way, and it costs less than one dinner you will not remember. Scan the code on your screen or look in the comments. But do not leave yet, because I am about to tell you why the burying failed in you, and it is the most important thing about you that nobody has ever explained. So why do you still have what almost everyone buried? The old ones knew the keepers, the ones in whom the paving fails, and they found the same few reasons again and again, and you will find your own story in one of them. Some kept the sense because of a childhood that required it. Hear this one gently, because it is the hardest and the most common. A child raised in an unpredictable house, around anger, around drinking, around moods that could turn, learns to read the atmosphere the way sailors read the sky because their safety depended on it. Reading the room was not a game for that child. It was survival. Which side of the door to be on, which silence meant danger, what the footsteps on the porch meant tonight, and a sense used that hard, that young, that constantly cannot be buried afterward. It has grown too strong. It has become the trunk of the tree. If that was your childhood, my friend, then hear what I am telling you. The sensitivity you carry is a scar and a gift at once. The world trained it into you through hardship, and it is yours now, fully grown, and you may as well use it because you paid for it in full a long time ago. Others kept the sense because of the old blood, the lines of grandmothers who never let it die, families where somebody, in every generation, knew things, the grandmother everyone half joked about, who knew who was at the door before the knock, who dreamed true, who said, "I had a feeling and was never wrong," and the joking notice was always half, because the family knew. The sense runs in lines, the old ones taught. It is handed down like the shape of hands, and if there was such a grandmother in your line, then what you carry is inheritance, and the half-joke stops tonight. And others kept it simply because their spirit refused the paving, the quiet, stubborn ones, the children who heard your imagining things and thought privately, silently, "No, I am not," and never surrendered the knowing even while learning to hide it. However it survived in you, my friend, whichever road it took, understand what you are tonight. You are a keeper of something almost everyone lost, not the owner of something extra, the keeper of something original, the deep sense every human was born with, wearing away in the world all around you, and still, in you, against all instruction, awake. And understand, too, what the keeping has cost you, because the cost deserves naming tonight. It cost you the comfort of the crowd. The buried move through the world in a certain ease. They feel nothing at the gathering, nothing in the heavy house, nothing from the smiling stranger, and their nothing is a kind of peace, the peace of the unplugged instrument. You were never granted that peace. You have felt everything everywhere, your whole life. The wrongness others sat comfortably inside, the sadness under the laughter, the danger in the charming man, and feeling it all while everyone around you felt nothing and told you so, has been lonely in a way you have never had words for. It is the loneliness of the lighthouse keeper, awake all night over waters everyone else sleeps beside. So hear this from an old man who has watched the keepers his whole life. The loneliness was real, and it was the price, and you have already paid the whole of it. What remains, from tonight forward, is only the gift. Now let me tell you how to live with it in the years remaining, because a sense this strong, unguided, can be a burden, and you know that. You have carried the burden side of it, and the old ones had guidance, 3 teachings, and I give them to you now. The first, trust it, and stop apologizing. The years of doubting are over. Hear me, they end tonight. When the knowing arrives, receive it. When the room feels wrong, honor it, and leave. Without manufacturing a polite reason, the old ones never argued with their sense. My grandmother walked out of gatherings on nothing but a feeling, calmly, unashamed. And when questioned, she would say only, "It was time to go," and she was at peace with the strange looks, because she had made her choice decades before between being polite and being aligned. Hear her words, she said, "Grandson, the ones who mocked the deep sense were wrong about it your whole life. Why would you keep giving them the deciding vote?" The second teaching, use it in service, because this is what the sense is for, and this is where its burden turns to purpose. The old camps positioned their censors deliberately. The readers of people sat in the councils. The feelers of trouble watched over the children. The ones who sensed the threads kept the far-flung family connected. The gift was never for the carrier alone. It was a sense organ for the whole circle. And yours is too. You know when someone in the family is not right, no matter what they are performing, so you are the one who calls, who asks twice, who says, "I know you said you're fine, I'm asking again." You feel who is dangerous before the evidence comes. So you are the quiet guardian of your circle's trust, the one who says softly, "Go slow with that one," and is worth more than any lock. You sense the heaviness in the friend's voice on the phone, so you are the one who shows up. That is not being nosy, my friend. That is the deep sense doing its ancient work, keeping the circle safe. And every time you use it for someone, the burden of it lightens, because carried gifts grow heavy only when they are carried idle. And I will prove the service teaching with one story, the story that taught it to me. A woman I knew, a keeper like you, could not settle one evening at an ordinary gathering. Something pulled at her, and it took an hour of sitting with it to find the direction, and the direction was her brother, a good distance away, who she had spoken with days before and who had been fine, cheerful even. And she left the gathering, which cost her the usual strange looks, and drove the distance that night, arriving late, unannounced, at the door of a brother who opened it cheerful and surprised, and asked what on earth she was doing there. and she looked at him with the sense and not the eyes, and said, "I don't know yet, but I'm staying the weekend." I will not tell all of what that weekend uncovered. It is her story and his, but the brother was not fine. The cheerfulness was a costume over something heavy he had decided, in the way men of that generation decided things, never to trouble anyone with, and her arrival, unexplained, impossible to have reasoned her way to, broke open what needed breaking. And there are people alive in that family today because a woman left a gathering on a feeling. Afterward he asked her the question the buried always ask, "How did you know?" And she gave the keeper's answer, the 11 words that hold the whole teaching. I have stopped needing to know before I act on what I feel. The buried demand certainty before they move, and certainty always comes late. The keepers move on the feeling and are laughed at 9 times, and the 10th time they are the reason everyone is still at the table. And the 3rd teaching, stop trying to convince the buried. This one will save you years. You have spent a lifetime being doubted, and some part of you still wants the vindication, wants to explain the sense to the people who mock it, prove it, make them see. Let it go tonight. My grandmother put it in one sentence, and it settles the matter forever. She said, "You cannot describe color to people who have chosen to keep their eyes closed, and you dishonor the gift by begging the blind to validate it. The buried cannot confirm what you feel. Their instrument is paved, and their doubt was never evidence of your error. It was only evidence of their burial. So feel what you feel, know what you know, act on it in love, and let the validation come from the only 2 sources that ever mattered, the accuracy of the sense itself, proven to you 1,000 times across your whole life, and the old ones, all the way back down your line and mine, who would have known exactly what you are within minutes of meeting you, and honored it. So there is the whole teaching. The deep sense, older than the 5, born in everyone, buried in almost everyone, and kept through hardship or blood or quiet stubbornness, in you. You were never imagining things. Hear that sentence one more time after a lifetime of the opposite, and let it land all the way down. You were never imagining things. You were reading the world with an instrument the people around you buried in childhood, and every strange look you ever received was the blind reviewing the sighted. So walk out of tonight the way the keepers walked, my friend. Sense arriving, received without apology. Gift pointed outward, at the circle, in service. And not one more minute spent begging the buried for a vote. The old ones kept this sense alive through every age that tried to pave it, and now it lives in you, at this age, still accurate, still awake, still refusing, after everything, to close its eyes. Do not close them now. The circle around you is full of surfaces, and you are one of the last ones left who can read what is underneath. And the years ahead, I promise you, will give you reasons, good ones, important ones, to have kept your eyes open when the whole world was closing theirs. Somewhere ahead of you is a gathering you will need to leave, a stranger you will need to read, a night drive you will need to make on nothing but a pull, and when it comes, you will be ready, because you were always ready. You just spent 70 years being told you weren't. If what you heard today stayed with you, the book is there, The Native Way, 20 teachings, 100 pages, written the way I would speak to you if we were sitting together. Scan the QR code on the screen with your phone, or find the link in the comments. Read 1 chapter. Sit with it. Now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments. How did your sense survive the hard childhood, the grandmother's line, or the quiet refusal? And tell me one time it was right when everyone doubted you. I read every comment. And if this is the kind of conversation you have been looking for, subscribe to this channel. We are not collecting viewers here. We are collecting people who remember. Come back next week. I am not done teaching yet.